Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first Transportation Commission meeting of 2022. Today is Thursday, January 6, 2022, and we are all joined here virtually. My name is Bridget Obikoya, and I am the Transportation Commission staff liaison. This meeting is being recorded, so please turn off your mics when you're not speaking. Before I start with the agenda items, are there any citizen comments on matters not on the agenda? Hearing none, I would turn it over to the first agenda item, to our chair for the first agenda item, which is the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission I-66 Commuter Choice Round 5 FY 2023 through FY 2024 applications with Rich Roisman. Mr. Chairman, please take it away.
Sorry, my Teams was crashing, so I'm joining you on my phone, so I apologize for the odd camera angle. This agenda item is a request for a grant application for transportational capital funding to the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission I-66 Commuter Choice Program Round 5, which will be for fiscal years 23 and 24 for the Ballston Marymount University Metro Rail Station West entrance. This request is for $4.5 million in regional transportation funding for the subject project. We previewed our intentions at last month's TC meeting. You will also recall that the TC voted to approve a application for the same project for a much larger sum of money, $80 million, to the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority. A couple of months ago, that application was approved by the county board and is now in hand with the authority and is awaiting evaluation. The background information is pretty much the same as it was for the discussion for the authority project. The Ballston West entrance adds a second entrance at Fairfax Drive and North Vermont Street, effectively adding a western entrance nearly a quarter mile away from the existing entrance. The project cost, as discussed at the authority application, has gone up slightly to $140 million in the CIP. This is a $10 million increase over the 2019 cost estimate, mostly due to enhanced cost estimates based on enhanced scoping into the design phase of the project, which is ongoing. Funding plan, again, is the same as discussed with the NVTA application. It's a combination of local funds, NVTA, both existing and the $80 million request that was put in October, plus the $4.5 million that is the subject of this item requested for the NVTC. Just by way of history, we did apply for this for $10 million on this project in the round 4 for I-66 Commuter Choice, and it was the top scoring project in the initial evaluation of the program. However, with COVID-19 and the subsequent sharp decline in total revenues for I-66 inside the Beltway, which is the source of the Commuter Choice program, that revenue dried up, and at the request of NVTC staff, we withdrew that application. We are now going back for a lower dollar amount because the anticipated program revenue, which pre-COVID was $30 million for a 2-year program, is conservatively estimated at $12 million for the round 5 program. So we have resized our application appropriately. Let me stop there because I don't want to repeat myself over what was previously discussed when presenting the NVTA application. Again, this is a critical CIP project, and because of the high dollar amount, we are looking at multiple funding sources for the project. I'll stop at that point and see if there are any questions from commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Roisman. I think my main concern about this has nothing to do with the grants application, but the other piece that's in this board report, which appears to be a kind of firm committal of $30 million in local CNI money to the Ballston West entrance. Can you talk more about that?
Yes, that is repeated from the NVTA application, so that is not new. During the previous round of NVTA funding, there was a request made by the authority for additional local funding to be provided with the application. So at the time, it was 25 million. That has now been increased to another $5 million to 30 million based on the increased cost of the project. So.
Oh, must have missed that during the NVTA one. Okay. Do other commissioners have questions about this? Seeing no hands, does anybody have a motion? Commissioner Raddick?
I will motion to recommend that the Transportation Commission, I guess, approve this or pass it on to the county board, or whatever the next step is in the process.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Walker seconds. Any discussion on the motion? All right, I will just say I will be voting against this particular motion. I think we've finally gotten to the straw that breaks the camel's back for me on Metro second entrance cost increases and local monetary increases. I was able to convince myself over the last many years that as long as it was a reasonably small amount of local funds and we were bringing in enough grant money and everything, that increasing access to a metro station was worth the money. But given all of the other things that we would like to be spending transportation money on in Arlington County, from making our buses go faster to adding protected bike lanes to building trails to dedicated bus lanes and bus transit station improvements, I think we have finally reached the point where this project doesn't make sense anymore to me. $140 million is an awful lot of other things as a total dollar amount, and $30 million is an awful lot of other things from a local dollars standpoint, especially given our budget constraints and how difficult it has been to get general obligation bond money for anything other than Metro. And how much HB 2313 local, NVTA local money we have lost over the last few years, and the chances of us getting any of it back under a Republican administration moving forward seem pretty low. So I think I'm done. I think I have to finally say this doesn't make sense anymore. So that's where I stand. Any other commission comments on this vote? All right, seeing none, let me get to my little vote tracker. Rose is still not here yet. Commissioner Lantelmi.
I'll vote aye.
Commissioner Locker.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Ludlow, I don't think I see. No. Commissioner Moradovic.
I vote nay.
Commissioner Price.
Aye.
Commissioner Raddick.
Nay, you've convinced me, Chair Slat, even though it was my motion.
Commissioner Yeri.
I'm also convinced no.
I also vote no. So that motion fails. 4 noes to 3 yeses. So I think we need to send to the board something as a recommendation. So I will try and work up a motion real quick here. If anybody else wants to make a motion instead, feel free.
Mr. Chairman, let me ask a question, see if this leads in the direction of a potential alternate motion.
Thank you.
You said your objection is to both the increased cost as well as the amount of local funding commitment designated. It was already, and to be fair, it has already been designated and the board is already on the record for it as part of the NVTA application. So this is simply a repeat of that for the purposes of this approval, but it does not change the board's previously taken action on that level of commitment. However, is there an acceptable level of local funding that would potentially be in the form of an alternate motion that would be acceptable to a majority of the Transportation Commission?
Mr. Reisman, did you say the board's on the record for 25 in the past and this 30 is new?
That is correct. Let me just go down to the relevant portion of the staff report. That is correct. So the previous local funding commitment was 25 million. This is an increase of 5 million to 30 million for purposes of this application. This and the authority application. So basically it's taking the $10 billion overall cost increase, because in the previous CIP it was 130 million. It is now 140 million, and basically split that $10 million increase between asking for more money from the NVTA and increasing the local funding commitment as requested by the NVTA during their review of the previous funding application for the project, which the authority did not approve. So,
great, thank you. All right, I'm going to make a motion here. We'll see where it goes with the commission. I move that the Transportation Commission recommend that the county board advance the NVTC I-66 choice application for funding for the Ballston West entrance is outlined in our draft board report, but to seek other sources of funding to keep Arlington's local funding commitment to $25 million or less. Before somebody seconds that, let me edit that to say to seek other sources of funding or decrease the overall cost of the project to keep Arlington's local funding to commitment to $24 million or less. That gives two ways to do that. You could get more money or you could spend less money. Is there a second for that motion?
I second that motion.
Commissioner. Is there any discussion of that motion? All right, let's vote on that motion then. Commissioner Lansalmi.
I'll vote aye on that.
Commissioner Locker.
Can you read the motion one more time?
Absolutely. Transportation Commission recommends that the county board advance the NVTC I-66 choice application for the Ballston West entrance as outlined in our draft board report, but seek other sources of funding or decreases in the overall cost of the project to keep Arlington's local funding commitment to $25 million or less.
This is not a time to ask questions, is it?
This is discussion of the motion, so you can absolutely ask a question.
So the other sources of funding, are we suggesting finding other grant money to supplement the 5 million, or I just want to kind of get a better clarity on that, and I understand the second part, which would be to value engineer the project, but that would mean that it would just be for the match. So they would be really needing to value engineer like 15 million. Is that right? Something like that, Richard?
I think it depends on the funding source. Both NVTA and NVTC do not have a local match requirement. In fact, the balance of the funding, which is NVTA, NVTC, state smart scale, none of those have a local match requirement. So, and then
Okay.
obviously the local funding is 100% local funding. So, there are other sources that could be pursued that would require a match, but at this time those are not under consideration.
Okay, great. Thank you for the clarity. I vote aye.
Commissioner Moravec,
Aye.
Commissioner Price.
I vote no, and I want it reflected that I support the original motion. I think this
Absolutely.
is a ridiculous motion. Frankly speaking, the cost of projects for transit, as a transit professional, I know they go up consistently because of time, and I think we have to be realistic here. I find this an absolutely ridiculous discussion, so I vote no.
All right. Commissioner Reddick,
Aye.
Commissioner Yeri.
Aye.
Also vote yes. That motion passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 1.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Weissman.
Okay, on to the next agenda item. We have the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Regional Surface Transportation Program, Cmac RSTP, FY 2028 applications. And this is for action with Dan Moloff.
Good evening. I apologize about my background. It's a little ridiculous. All right. Well, I believe you got a preview of this in November. Tonight, I'm here requesting action to endorse these applications. Let's really quickly refresh your details on this program. I'm not going to spend much time on it because we've done it many times before. Cmac is the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Program. These are funds that must be used to improve air quality. They're especially good for TDM and bike projects, things like that, walking projects, not really good for road expansion projects. RSTP is the Regional Service Transportation Program, tends to be used for road projects, but is flexible enough to be used for other types of projects as well. NVTA controls these monies, but they treat them as a single pot. We apply for them together. Usually Arlington gets mostly Cmac money, whereas some other jurisdictions in Northern Virginia tend to get more RSTP. We apply on a 6-year rolling cycle. Each year we add one more year at the end. Applications for this round are due in January. So even though we apply, we know that we can reasonably anticipate $5 or $6 million per year in award, and we always over request in order to provide some flexibility in awards and basically the amounts per project, just in case other jurisdictions under apply or the timing doesn't work out on other projects. Occasionally it works out for us to get more. Occasionally we have to take less. Something like that happens. We want to provide that flexibility. So let me pull up my very fancy 1-slide presentation for you. If that will work. Let's see. Here we go. Hopefully that works. Can everyone see my presentation?
I think it's coming, but I don't see it yet.
Yeah,
I hope
don't
it's
see anything
coming.
yet.
Well,
if not, I can try to open it for you.
Yeah, could you try to do that?
Just give it a second. Okay.
Having an unusual setup this evening. Apologies.
Looks like I'm not able to open it. Interestingly.
All right, we'll do it without. We'll do it without that. It's okay.
Are you able to open it?
Yeah, it's open on my computer right now. It's all right.
Well, let me just try, please. Let me just try one more time.
Okay.
It's just taking a little while, maybe. Yeah, I'm having the same. Oh, it's open. Okay.
While we wait, I will welcome
Yeah,
Commissioner
it's
Rhodes to the
taking
meeting,
a long time for some reason. I don't know.
Thank
Good
you, Chair.
evening.
and I will let Mr. Vincent know that we are in the middle of the staff presentation on the item he signed up to speak on, and we will get to him as soon as that presentation is over.
So I'm sorry, we're on item
we seem
number.
to-
Thank you.
We're on Cmac.
Got it. Thanks.
I don't know. Maybe it's a very large.
I'm trying again. Let's see.
Hey, I can see it
Is it
now.
working? Oh, it's working. That's exciting. Okay. Apologies for that long delay. So this should look sort of familiar to you if you have been here in years past. This shows already planned funding as well as the proposed requests for this year. So each row here indicates a project. Each column indicates funding per fiscal year. The yellow column off to the side is the proposed request for this cycle, FY28. So our requests for FY28 are proposed to be $7.25 million for Arlington County Commuter Services, $1 million for the Arlington Boulevard Trail between Edison and George Mason, and $250,000 for capital bike share. Just to give you a little bit of additional detail on these, ACCS, every year we devote a big portion of Cmac funding to ACCS. The commuter services program includes all the car-free diet and other outreach materials you see, commuter stores, Walk Arlington, Bike Arlington, the commuter outreach program, just that whole family of services that we provide together in a non-pandemic year when there's normal commuting. That family of programs takes over 40,000 car trips per day off of Arlington streets, per weekday, I should say. So it's one of the most effective and cost-effective programs that we have. This provides a big portion of its annual budget. It's extremely important funding for ACCS. So our request this year is essentially the same as it always is. We always request more than we will get on this program. We don't expect to get the full request. We'll get something on the order of $5 million. The second project on the list for this cycle is, again, the Arlington Boulevard Trail from Edison to George Mason. So Edison, in case a reminder would be helpful, is essentially right next to 4 Mile Run. So this would add separated bikeways to the service drives along that section of Arlington Boulevard that would, essentially allow the trail to be more usable and comfortable for riders along that section. This is the first time in several years that we've been able to include a trails request in this program. We're really excited that the timing of the project and the requirements are working out to allow us to do that this year. The third project is capital bike share. So by the time we get out to fiscal year FY28, this would be for equipment replacement, essentially replacing old bicycles that have reached the end of their lifespan, possibly adding some more finally, just a quick note on the last two rows you see there. For several years, we've included traffic signals requests in this program. Every 3 years, we request money for traffic signal optimization, retiming the county's traffic lights. And then in other years that aren't an optimization year, we request money for upgrades to the traffic signal hardware. We're still planning to do the optimization every 3 years, and so next year you will likely see that signal optimization request. But the signal hardware, that TSM project, Transportation Systems Management project you see there, doesn't have a need for funding in FY28, which opens up the possibility of some other projects. So these two projects you see them on the table since they're part of that 6-year program. Helps you, know where we are, how things are working compared to previous years, but we're not proposing any new requests for them this cycle. With that, I'd like to request endorsement of these priorities for county board consideration and take any questions that you may have.
If I may, before the commissioners get to questions, just to acknowledge the chair's request for a staff briefing on previous use of the TSM project with Cmac and RSTP funds. That will be forthcoming, or the signals team was not ready to do it for this meeting, so it will be hopefully next month.
That sounds great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then Ms. Obakoyo, we have a speaker signed up for this item, do we not?
We do. Mr. Kevin Vincent. Welcome.
Hello, thank you, Chairman Slat, for recognizing me. As you know, I'm a liaison from the C2E2, the Climate Change, Energy, and Environment Commission, and I just wanted to express that the C2E2 has a strong interest in the Cmac program as well. The air quality portion of the goal of the Cmac program, of course, overlaps with our interest at C2E2. So, these comments are really directed to staff even more so than to the Transportation Commission itself. But the C2E2 is interested in providing input into the use of Cmac funding, and we'd like to work with Transportation Commission on future programs. For instance, on the transportation system management, that portion would going away, maybe future uses of what would happen there. We'd like to work in consultation with the Transportation Commission to advise the county on the use of Cmac funding. We don't have any issues with the particular projects that are raised in this cycle, but from a process standpoint, we do have an interest in the program and would like to work with y'all in connection with advising the county on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vincent. Mr. Maliff, do you have any thoughts on that comment?
I'm sure we'll be very happy to include you. I'll take those comments back and raise them up the flagpole, but I would not anticipate issues with that.
Thank you.
Any commissioners have questions about this item? All right, great. Then I move that the Transportation Commission recommends that the County Board adopt the proposed CMAC and RSTP requests for fiscal year 2028 as outlined in this presentation.
I'll second it.
All right, that's seconded. Any discussion of the motion? Seeing none. Commissioner Brooks.
No. Yes. Sorry, you're taking the code. Yay. Aye. Thank you. It's been too long.
Don't worry. Commissioner Lantalmi.
Yes. Aye.
Commissioner Locker.
Aye.
Commissioner Baradovic.
Aye.
Rice.
Aye.
Paddock.
Aye.
Commissioner Yeri.
Aye.
Vote yes, that passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Mel. And good to see you, Mr. Vincent.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
And just for the commissioners, I will also post this presentation to the website tomorrow. The next agenda item is the Art Bus Fair update with William Jones. Welcome.
Good evening and happy New Year to each of you. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, Chair, and good evening, Commission members. I am here to present an update to the fare structure for Arlington Transit. And this fare structure change is subject to support the region's efforts in terms of changing the fare structure to make the discount of passengers transferring from rail to bus, from Metro Rail to bus, to be a free transfer. Currently, individuals who are using Metro Rail transfer to Art Bus on a 50-cent discount as a part of Metro's commitment to improving and bettering those who are using transit across the region. The Metro Board during the summer made an approval where any passenger that is transferring from rail to bus would have their $1.50 discount be changed to where they're not having to pay to board the bus. And so as a part of that, we thought it was important to fall in line along with that and support Metro's efforts. As many of you are aware, Metro Bus and ART work together to provide the bus network and the transit network when you include Metro Rail and VRE within the county. So what's before you, or what has been put in your packet, is the board report that will be submitted to the county board for review, consideration, and approval. And that is to change the fare structure within ART's fare structure to reflect the change that a passenger that's transferring from rail to bus will no longer pay a $1.50 discount. It will be a free rail to bus transfer. And with that, I will stop and take any questions from the commission chair or commission members.
Commissioner Burrows, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to applaud this. It's such a long time coming that Metro is getting in this direction, and I'm really glad that Arlington County is going to support it in this way. So I think it's a great action.
Commissioner Lantz.
Yeah, I'd like to join with Commissioner Burrows on that. I was also stunned about how little it's going to cost to do this. Clearly, given the low cost, it sounds like it's something we really should have been doing for quite a long time already. Making our transit seamless, one fare across the region is a tremendously good, positive step to making transit more usable, more useful, and more equitable. So absolutely, I enthusiastically support this.
Commissioner Press.
I too want to associate myself with comments that were made and applaud Mr. Jones and the county for taking these steps. It brings us a long way toward making our transit system much more equitable for people around the county. I think the $1.50 was probably painful for a lot of folks, and I'm glad it's gone. And this is a great proposal, and thank you for all your hard work. And I hope you present this similar presentation to the Transit Advisory Committee, because I think we'd love to know more about this, or I'd like to continue the discussion about it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. I too am super happy to see this. Having to transfer is annoying enough as it is without having to get them. It's bad enough that we didn't have a one-seat ride for you, but now we're going to charge you extra for it. It's kind of a double whammy, and I'm glad we're not going to be doing it anymore. So seeing no other hands, I will move that the Transportation Commission recommend that the County Board amend the Arlington Transit passenger fare schedule, one-way discounted fare with a smart trip card after transferring from Metro Rail to $0 as outlined in our draft orders.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Price. Any discussion of the motion? I see none, so we will move to the vote. Commissioner Burrows.
Aye.
Commissioner Lantelmi.
Aye.
Commissioner Locker.
Aye.
Commissioner Baradovic.
Definite aye. Thank you.
Commissioner Price.
Aye.
Commissioner Raddick.
Aye.
Commissioner Yeri.
Aye.
And I also vote yes. That passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Mr. Jones, and welcome to the commission.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Obakoye, are you muted?
Sorry. That concludes our agenda items for tonight. I'd like us to move on to other business. Do you have any, Chairman Slat, before I get into this year's calendar?
Think nothing else right at this moment. I did want to just let the other commissioners know about the email I sent you earlier, which is I've asked Ms. Obakoye to reach out to staff about whether that transit signal priority study that we kind of talked about with the board back during the CIP is finished or to the point where it's ready for a briefing to Transportation Commission. So we can hopefully look forward to that sometime this year. And as you heard Mr. Weissman, we should get an update about exactly what TSM, where that ITS TSM money has been going and what exactly all of that is. And so we can be better informed about those sort of investments. If you have other stuff that you want to consider putting on the agenda in 2022, don't hesitate to shoot me an email and we can talk about whether there's an appropriate time to put that in. And I will remind everybody that we are doing a 10-year CIP this spring for the first time since pre-COVID. So expect a lot of talk about capital projects, capital funding, and how much money we do and don't have and what we're going to spend. Seeing no other hands, Ms. Obakoye, let's talk about meeting schedule.
Okay, so the board did set and adopt the new calendar for 2022 on Saturday. And so the next meeting for us is January 27th. I have the full calendar here based on the Planning Commission calendar dates and the board's dates. And I'd like to send that out to you all by email and post it on the website. But for tonight, for the record, I'd like to just say what the dates are, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the next meeting is January 27th. The one after that is March 3rd. Then we have March 31st for the April meeting, April 28th, and then June 2nd, June 30th for the July meeting. There is no August meeting. September 1st for the September meeting, September 29th, October 27th, and December 1st. And they were all set in advance of the Planning Commission meetings that take place either on Monday or Wednesday night of the following week.
Fantastic. Commissioner Price.
Quick question for you, Ms. Obakoye. Can you send those? I mean, I love the calendar invite, frankly. I love it. It sets it just like that. Can you send a bunch of them? Like, can you set the calendar as sort of a tentative in
Sure, I can do that.
Invite, then just send out a whole bunch of them so we can just
for the entire.
Yeah, for the entire year.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're fantastic. I love doing it. I love keeping my records that way. So this way, I don't screw up and put something in the wrong date.
Excellent. And it helps with planning too, if you want to plan a vacation or something good. Yeah, I get it.
I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right.
Commissioner Brose.
Yeah, you may have mentioned this earlier. I'm sorry I was late today. But are we continuing on our virtual stance for the time being, or on no deadline there?
I have not received any updates as of yet. You will get at least a 30-day notice. So until I hear, we're still virtual.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything for the good of the order? Anything from liaison positions or anything like that?
I can update you briefly on the Marbella Apartments. Jim was on that with me as well. The review of the community we had on during our last Transportation Commission meeting, but there was largely support for the public housing APEX efforts and really trying to listen to the community in terms of the height of the buildings. They're quite tall, but obviously providing more affordable housing for our community So I think the presentation to the county will continue, or probably has at this point. So anyway, it was a good back and forth with the community and good support for the community housing efforts that address some of the equitable issues that we have here.
Right, and it's not settled yet what the form of the building, setbacks, heights, that sort of stuff is still going back and forth between the applicant and the county and the community. It has been postponed for the planning commission to our, not this coming meeting in January, but to our February meeting.
Thanks.
That's the earliest it would be heard.
Okay, thanks.
And I do have it
Did I hear-
tentatively on our agenda for January 27th. So I just need to confirm that they will still come before us at that time. Sorry, Commissioner.
Did I hear that building already lost some height and some units in SPRC from the initial proposal?
Yeah, it dropped 5 or 6. Question as to whether additional units would be dropped in order to have more of a transition to its surroundings. So that's still to be resolved.
Gotcha. Anyone else? Alrighty. Did all Transportation Commission get the notice about the special GLUP study online open feedback for Courthouse West, the empty lot next to the Whole Foods? Maybe not.
I mean, I've had it. It's still open. It goes until the 9th, I believe.
Yeah, you're on Planning Commission. I expect you to get it.
Right. Yeah, and actually, I'm now going to be co-chair for the special club study. Commissioner Bagley is leading it. So yeah, it is open. So please make your comments. It's just go to the LRPC website.
Yeah, I was going to say, if no one got it, just send me an email too, and I can send you the link either way.
Thank you, Ms. Opakoya.
Okay.
All right. I think we're adjourned then. Thank you all.
All right.
See you.
See everybody the 27th.
That's right. Yep. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right,
take care. And Happy New Year, Commissioner Bruce. Young up.
All right. Good night, everybody.